and two executive counselors who want to be the state's next governor going head to head in the first WMUR Granite State debate.
What Cullen never wants to talk about is the first 10 years of his 15-year career where he was a paid political operative.
His only job in the last decade has been for the Sununu family.
Women's health, commuter rail, and the drug crisis, just some of the issues that we heard about from Republican Chris Sununu and Democrat Colin Van Ostern.
Moderator and WMUR political director Josh McElveen begins our team coverage tonight live from St. Anselm College. Josh?
And good evening to you guys. So the candidates came into tonight's debate probably acutely aware of two different things. One, we're a week away from election night, and two, in this race in particular, there are a lot of undecided voters out there. According to our polls, roughly half the electorate have yet to make up their minds when it comes to who they're going to vote for governor. Throughout this campaign between these two, contrast has not been hard to find, and that was true again tonight here on the debate stage, where they mixed it up pretty good. For a recap of what did happen, let's send it out to Gene Mackin, who is standing by live.
And Josh, sandwiched in between state issues, they kept coming back to experience, dissecting each other's resumes. Colin Van Ostern and Chris Sununu debated which executive counselor has the best experience.
His only job in the last decade has been for the Sununu family. He worked at Sununu Enterprises, and when his family bought a ski mountain for him to manage, we've seen that he hasn't been able to keep an eye on the bottom line or look out for people.
We're the only resort on the entire East Coast expanding, millions of dollars of investment to grow our business. We've never gotten rid of anybody because of health care costs. Again, Colin will do anything to avoid the fact that when he was running campaigns, I was cleaning up hazardous waste sites.
They tackled top state issues from the drug crisis to education costs, tax relief, and if more Northern Pass transmission lines should be buried.
So there are some tweaks to this design we can make, but when you say you want to bury the whole line, that adds $500 million of cost that would come directly to the people in New Hampshire. It's essentially canceling the project.
The discernment that he says he shows when it comes to solar and renewable energy projects just doesn't exist when it comes to something that's being funded by huge multi-billion-dollar corporations through our state.
On transportation improvements, they disagree up and down the road on expanding commuter rail.
But right now we have real needs in our state. Colin wants to pander to the train fanatics. I want to make sure that the people of the state are driving on safe roads.
The train fanatics are people like the Manchester Chamber of Commerce, the Nashua Chamber of Commerce, business leaders who want to see their businesses grow. Those are important investments that we need to make.
And there was one final flurry over the business background that would best fill the corner office.
Opposing Medicaid expansion, opposing Planned Parenthood funding, opposing even having a state minimum wage.
Yeah.
That's
Okay.
not
We
what
have just about time. Take 30 seconds before closing.
Look, it's absolutely true. We've created jobs at Waterville. We've created a weddings group. We've created restaurants.
For the record, there are 62 fewer jobs than the day Chris Sununu took over at Waterville Valley.
This is a great example of Colin not having any business experience and background. He's taking a single data point that he doesn't understand and painting a broad political brush.
Gentlemen,
We've
we are out of time.
had
I wish we
tremendous
could-
success at Waterville
I wish
Valley.
I didn't have a clock.
But indeed, our moderator, Josh McElveen, does have a clock. Now, when asked if they had future plans to seek another political office outside of the governor's seat, both men said no. Back to you inside, Josh.
All right, Gene, thanks very much. Yeah, these two candidates just might have gone on to the wee hours of the morning without that clock. But I got to imagine one of the more difficult things for any candidate to do is hop off a high-stakes debate stage, immediately go into a spin room, and then grade their own performance. Well, that's what both of them did, and as you might imagine, they gave themselves each high marks.
I thought the whole debate was distilled into the final two answers. For me, this campaign is about doing what's right by the people of New Hampshire, putting politics aside, and I was glad to share some of the stories of people that I've met along the way on issues that are big differences between me and Chris Sununu: Planned Parenthood funding, solar and renewable energy projects, Medicaid expansion. You know, these are policies, but they also impact people's lives.
When we have a debate, it's all about giving straight answers every single time. Every time they asked my opponent a question, he shucked and moved to the left and moved to the right and wouldn't answer anything straightforward. Debates are a chance for people to actually engage and understand what we're about, what the issues are about. Colin avoided the questions at every turn, so I think we did very well.
All right, I'm joined now by my partner at WMUR, John DeStaso. He was observing this one tonight. He'll be on the panel tomorrow night for the Senate debate. Well, more on that in a second. But first, just being able to watch this and sit back, what was your takeaway?
Well, my takeaway is that here you have two rising stars in their respective parties. They are kind of fighting through the noise of the crazy presidential race and a very high-profile U.S. Senate race. It's such an important position, governor of the state of New Hampshire. We have a changing of the guard coming. I think that they both got their messages out. They did separate themselves on issues. There was a lot of talk about just the basic issues facing the state tonight.
But there was a difference in style as well. For those who
no
know
question.
where they stand in the positions, it really does boil down for the voters who are undecided,
Right.
who they like better.
Right. Chris Sununu was kind of, maybe a little more animated. That's his way. Colin Van Ostern, it's not to take anything away from him. He was really focused on the issues and is maybe, cerebral. I'm not going to make any judgments on that. But they just came off with different styles, and I think that just reflects their personalities.
Yeah, we can sit here and try to grade it out, but the ultimate grade will come from the voters.
Absolutely.
7 weeks from tonight. 7 weeks. 7 weeks. 7 days from tonight.
Yeah.
Can you imagine that? Election day.
No,
Almost
here we go.
over. All right.
Thanks, Josh.
So you know something else is going to happen. And John's going to be on the panel tomorrow night for a biggie, the high-stakes U.S. Senate debate. Obviously, incumbent Republican Kelly Ayotte will be on stage with her Democratic challenger, Maggie Hassan. And this race, according to the polls, is very close, which just might add to the pressure of another high-stakes debate. This one just 6 days from Election Day. Of course, we'll be out here for that as well. But for tonight, that's going to wrap up our coverage from the campus of St. Anselm College and the Institute of Politics. I'm Josh McKelvin. We'll send it back to you in the studio.
Okay.